All right, everybody, we are back again for another episode of Life After Ball. Now, remember, hit that like, subscribe, comment button down below so you can continue to have this thing grow, continue to bring on cool guests from all across the world. And I've got my special guest with me today, Tara, but we've got an OG coming back. The person that helped me start the Coach's Compass, my guy, the Hungarian national legend, my boy Jay. Welcome and thank you, my brother.
No, thanks for having me. Thanks for having me. It's weird being back in this seat, the guest seat, not the host seat. But good to
It
see you
almost
guys.
takes us back to like the first episode. We were just kind of interviewing each other and like talking about why we started this thing. You know what I mean? Like, why did we start the Coach's Compass? But now we're talking about life after ball, and it's like, man, where are you at with everything now, and how has it been to kind of put the jersey away?
It's been interesting. I feel like even now, I was thinking about it. I think you guys messaged me like I think it was last week or earlier this week, and I was like, I don't know, I'm still trying to figure it out. Like I think this interview may be a little too early, but I wrapped the season up last year, or just last year around August. Decided to part ways with the organization. Everything ended amicably. Still have a good relationship with the team, and came back home not really sure what I was going to do. And my uncle pitched me on going into sales with him, a door-to-door sales job. And me being an athlete and having the ego that we all have, I was just like, you know what, I can do that. Like, yeah, let's do it. Came down here to Maryland doing door-to-door knocking. I mean, like the first month it was like very rough. And I'm not used to sales. So cold knocking on random people's doors, telling them, having no pitch, like zero pitch, just like, hey, I didn't know what I was doing. Hey, and getting doors slammed on me. I've had police called on me. Like it's been insane. The first month was insane. And I was just like, the first month I'm like, was this a good decision? And I was like, it all ended well. I can easily just call up the Enthroners and like jump back into it, pull a Tom Brady and just get right back to it. Things picked up well after the first month. I started getting better at it. On the first 2 quarters of the year, I was like the top setter in the company, doing very well. I think just having the background in American football has helped me out so much. Just like obviously with like discipline and being relentless. I think also just like having that short memory, and when somebody closes the door on me and says no, it's just like, just like you lose a game, your coach tells you whether you win or lose, as soon as we wake up the next day, you're watching film for the next team. It's just like that win is over with. So whether I'm able to sell somebody at the door or not, at the end of the day, it's just like I know I have to continue, whether it's just like whether it goes well, whether it doesn't go well. So that's definitely helped me a lot of traits that I picked up from the sport of American football, but still trying to figure it out.
It's a year now. It's a year removed from being out of the sport.
Just about.
I remember looking back a year after being out and be like, oh, shoot, can I still consider myself an athlete? Like, could I still go out there and do it? And you look at the Enthroners right now, obviously not the best of the seasons, right? So it's kind of a little bit like, okay, like I left on the right time. You know what I mean? I ain't getting going out there getting beat up. But do you miss the game, and do you feel like you could go back and do it again?
Definitely do feel like I can go back and do it again. It's funny. I'm not sure if you guys have seen like that trend on TikTok when people are like going up and asking like their fathers that are ex-NFL athletes or people that just retired, like, hey, how would it feel? Like, would you like to be like would you give anything to be an athlete? And it's like, it's hard to part ways with the fact that I'm not an athlete anymore. I feel like I can still perform like one, but I'm not. But so that's like the weird thing. But I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like just coming from my background and just being and working in like sports performance, I know right now if I probably stepped on a field, that first game would probably look good. I'd probably get injured by the second game, like my tissue tolerance is probably at an all-time low. I haven't ran, like my capacity for anything is probably like below what I was when I was in my playing career. But I think that's also like something that I battle with, where it's like, I can probably tell somebody like, yeah, I'm probably not in shape. But in the back of my mind, I'm just like, I had a lady the other day. We had an appointment and she was just like, oh, you play sports? And I was like, yeah, I play American football. She was like, oh, do you play DB? And I was like, no, like linebacker, D-line. She was like, oh, I don't think so. And everything, I wanted somebody to just like toss her a football to to show them like my ego was like hit. So I think that I don't know if that ever goes away.
Dude,
So Jay, why did you quit?
It was a mix. It was a mix of things. I think we all do have the luxury of once transitioning from American football in the States to Europe, the level of play and competition drops so low. You do have the luxury of kind of trying to figure out what I'm going to do next. The pay isn't as much as what you would make in college, even though we weren't getting paid. I mean, your scholarship is worth more than what you would be probably paid in Europe. The competition is very low. You feel like you're there more as a mentor than anything to a lot of sometimes the juniors that you're working with and the people you're playing with. I transitioned into coaching, so I started splitting time on both, and I was coaching and I was playing. So I didn't really have to deal with so much of like an identity loss with that transition. As you get older, financially, I wanted to be in a better position. You start thinking about your future. And I feel like a lot of people can speak to this as American athletes that have played in Europe, where it's just like you feel like you give more than you get. Obviously, you're giving back to American football. There's not much that they can give you. You've made that decision to go to Europe and try and elevate the game of American football for the future. It's not something that you're going to be able to see that directly has an impact right now. And I feel like Coop and I and everybody else that is embarked on that journey, we've done our due diligence and we've helped out as many people as we can. And I feel like there comes a time in everybody's career where you feel like it was time to move on. And that I finally came to that wall.
Do you have peace about it?
By peace, it gets difficult. By peace, I mean, like I split ways with the team and everything ended well. There is a weird piece about it that I feel like I would still be there if I would have been paid enough and been accommodated the way I would have been accommodated. It wasn't something that they could have provided within their bounds. So it's kind of hard it's not something that I hold any malice towards them, but there are days where I'm just like, this could have worked out. This definitely could have worked out.
Especially when you look at the record right now.
Especially when you look at the record right now, and I don't know who's going to watch this, but I mean,
Tara, they've only won one game this season. Just to put that on.
I think the biggest thing that hits me a lot now too is like I have juniors that reach out to me and they're just like, hey, like can you send me training programs? Like there's nobody training us. Like the junior program is like there's nobody working with the athletes. Some of the athletes have left. Like a lot of the athletes don't train anymore. There's just like a lot of guidance that was there that is no longer there. So there's a part of me that, I mean, you feel bad. I'm like, did I leave them? Or just like, yeah, but there's also like, I have to take myself into account in my life and my future.
Part of my question about the piece is when you make a decision that even if it was a tough one, you sort of know that it was your time. Like, you know, there was an inevitable end to something. And then there's the decisions you make because you don't really have a choice because you're starving or the system is so broken that you don't feel safe or supported to continue. You feel like you're spinning your tires and, you know, so there's like that frustration because, like you said, it doesn't have to be this way. It didn't have to be this way. And there's still a little bit left in you that would love another chance. Does that describe you?
That's perfect. Perfect. You articulated that perfectly.
It kind of sounds like all of us, you know, that kind of get pushed out of it. Because even if you look at it, but there is a way that they could have, for all you've done with being over there, right? How many years you spent there? You became a Hungarian citizen. It seems like it would be pretty simple to figure out how to find a way to get you to stay because you're also not only just elevating the team that's in the European League of Football, but you're helping create a pipeline that's going to continue to play for that team, right? Because if we look at the European League of Football, none of these teams have junior teams besides the Enthroners and the Vikings, and I don't even think anybody else. So Enthroners and Vikings, only two teams that have youth teams. How do they expect this league to continue to go on when they don't have people like you that are over there helping develop the youth? Like, where are they're just going to keep snatching up random players out of Europe and it's just going to figure out a way to work? Like we've obviously seen what has happened with the development and the performance on the field when there's not a person like you over there helping develop these next wave of kids. Is trash football. Them boys going out there getting blown out 63-0. So how do you feel You know what I mean? Like, how do you feel like you were ready for the transition? Like, how is it? Because I know when I left, like, I felt like football threw me away. Like, I didn't, like, I felt like I always said I wanted to walk away from the sport on my own terms, but I don't feel like I walked away on my own terms when it came to Europe. Like, I feel like it was more of just like, man, I'm just tired of dealing with the BS.
I think in a way, I do feel that way. Although because of like my business and Evol and like helping athletes, I do still feel like attached, and I am helping in a way and still giving back. It's just not the same because it's online training and there's only so much that you can do online training. But that's kind of just like my small way of like staying attached and giving back, especially with being over here. Right now we're offering like free programs, just straight up free programs. I've been sending them out to just a bunch of junior athletes. I figured I just like I went online, found every junior team in like Germany, like, or just like the federations, and I go to the federations. I go to all the followers for the junior federation, and I just message all the athletes and just say, hey, do you want free training? Hey, do you want free training? And just been sending them free training. Right now, we have like a free speed training, a free strength development program, and a free power development program. For the most part, all the athletes are falling into like the strength development stuff, but and we send them the speed stuff, and like a lot of athletes have taken well to it. A lot of athletes have been doing it, and it's like it's made me feel like I'm still there and still helping and still giving back.
Yeah, that's a big transition, man. How do you feel though being back in the States? I mean, that's an even bigger one. Like, we come back from the freedom that we kind of really had in Europe of being able to, you know, hop on a train, hop on a bus, bike ride, all these other places. And now you're going to do door-to-door sales too. The lifestyle of America is very unforgiving, right? Like, we come back, and if you ain't making no bread, bro, you are done for. So how has it been to be back stateside? And what have you noticed the most, like the biggest differences of being here and there?
It's funny too, because I'm living in America. I have a bunch of Americans surrounded. I'm surrounded by Americans right now, so I don't want to go too crazy. I think the crazy thing is I didn't really think about it, but it's been a big culture shock for me, because for the most part, anytime I came home, it was for like holidays. And then I'm just so family oriented. When I come back home, I'm hanging out with family the whole time I'm here, and then friends. I don't really go out and mingle that much. When I come back home, it's usually for maybe 1 or 2 months of the year, back when I was playing in Europe, and I would just go see family, friends, and I would be here for about a month and then be gone. So this is like my first time coming back, and I'm going straight into door-to-door sales. It's like a master class in psychology and like throwing me to the wolves. It's
I can imagine.
a shock. Oh my gosh. So that in of itself, and just like you start to learn about different communities, and like I have like my own like case study just based off like knocking on or just interacting with different communities in America, and who's taken well to me and who hasn't taken well to me. The one thing that I've noticed is like majority of my customers and clients are like foreigners, and they're very open. They come to the door. They're like, hey, how you doing? If they're not interested, they say no. I'm not very pushy. So I'm just like, all right, fine. But like any other culture, like usually people that are like first or second generation are like extremely rude. And I guess there is the part of it where it's like, everybody in America, especially in America too, where it's just like, it's so, I forget how capitalistic we are here, where it's like there's advertisements in Americans' face everywhere. TikTok, Netflix, you can't watch a podcast without advertisements. And I never really noticed it until I come back. I'm like, there's advertisements everywhere. And the last thing they want is somebody knocking on their door, right? Telling them like, hey, you want to buy something?
What are you doing
so
here?
like exactly. So that's been like a culture shock in of itself. The health here is like, it's like harder to be healthy, and like you have to read labels. Like I'm starting to read labels and stuff. I actually started to read labels and stuff like 2 or 3 months ago. I'm like, yo, I don't know what this is. Like what
all
is
these
what is some of
ingredients
this
we
stuff?
got and stuff? You're like, huh?
Yo, like, and it's like a huge list, right? And I'm like, it used to be easy to shop in Hungary, like, you know, especially you have to go shopping in Hungary every 2 to 3 days. Like you buy bread in Hungary, it's going to go bad in like 2 to 3 days. My bread here, you have it for 3 weeks. It's like,
That's so scary. That's so scary.
insane. Everything has seed oils in it. Yeah. So that's like another thing, is like the health. And then another thing on the health side is like I miss like living in like a walkable area. Oh my gosh, I miss living in a walkable area and just like being able to get like a bunch of steps in on the day. Not looking poor if you're walking around. I'm like, people look at you crazy if you're walking somewhere.
Where you going?
Like
Why you ain't got a
Yeah.
car? What you doing on your feet, man?
Everybody has a car. It's insane. Public transportation is kind of frowned upon. I could go on and on, but yeah, it's been a huge culture shock being back. It's been a huge culture shock being back.
Can I ask you guys a question? Because I'm from Canada. We have our own set of things. But when you said earlier about unforgiving culture, like a very unforgiving place, like coming back from playing, what do you mean by that? Like Kubi said that. You said Americans like being just, what do you mean by that?
It's almost like, so I guess living in Denmark, Sweden, Germany, like there's just so many things that are set up for you to be able to be successful, but also give you time to figure out what you want to do. Whereas in America, we don't like, if your bill isn't like paid that month, like you're like an eviction notice is coming the next month. Like your lights are being turned off, or you're just like your phone's cut off, or you don't have gas money. Like you don't like, there's no way to find a way to make it to work. Like yeah, we do have public transportation, like a little bit of it, but it's so sparse and it's hard to. So that's where I say like American culture is unforgiving, because it's like if you don't have everything in line to be able to make it to where you need to make it to, or be able to afford your bills or anything, it's just going to disregard you. Like it's just going to throw you away. And like even coming back home, just seeing how much homelessness we have, and like I know it was out there in Europe, but I don't think it was as bad as what we have here. I don't know. I guess because it's like so in our face here all the time, and like you said, being able to walk around is like frowned upon. And it's like, if you're not walking through your neighborhood, or if you're not in like a suburb or something, like just going on like a stroll, if you're like actually walking to work, right, or something like that, people are like, yo, you must not be able to afford like to be able to drive or get a car. Or if you're on the bus, it's like, oh yeah, you're definitely broke, or you're definitely going through a hard time. And it's like, man, when we were in Europe, like that was the way you got around. Like you hop on the bus, you hop on the train, you rode a bike, you walk somewhere. Like a car was just like kind of unnecessary unless you were like going far places, or like you had a lot of money.
Yeah. I
So
think
coming
another
back
thing
from
too is
sport-
like I was talking to my girlfriend about it not too long ago, but I think one thing I noticed in America where it's just like it's very easy to become homeless. All it takes is for you, if you don't have like a good family structure, like if you don't have like a good relationship with your mom and dad, you can easily become homeless. Just because like all it takes is for you to have to, like, if you break your leg, and then you fall, and then you're having to pay like hospital bills, like. And that's why what Coop said is just like unforgiving, where it's like financially, America is very unforgiving, where it's just like you better pay your bills on time. Your health can easily fall, and then obviously it's like they don't in America. It's hard to live a healthy lifestyle. You're driving everywhere. You're not walking much. The food isn't great. Like, and all you have to do is end up in the hospital one time, and that can set you back easily.
And I also know like some of the conversations with like people like here, it's like, hey, what benefits does your job offer you? Like what benefits come with it? And it's like, I don't remember ever hearing that question when we were in Europe, like when people talk about their jobs, because like in the system, like you have healthcare, your taxes and stuff are taken care of, like all the like retirement fund stuff is already taken care of. But over here, it's like you're begging for a job that gives you healthcare, dental, and all the other stuff that comes along the lines with it, just in case something happens. It's like you're planning for your downfall and hoping that so it's kind of nice that we're in the space of like being healthy. But if we weren't, and if you were just working your sales job with no benefits, like you just get commission and all that stuff, like me working my gym job, if there were no health or dental insurance or anything like that, like, and we got seriously hurt, man, there's no telling like what would happen to us, or like how we would be able to survive, because the bills rack up so high that it's like, is our system backwards or broken? Like, do we truly care about the people that are here in this country?
Yeah, a friend of mine like kind of had a great analogy for it, but I feel like in Europe there's kind of just like a net for everybody, right? And you can kind of, for the most part, everybody can like live at a middle class, you know, to get to the top and be a millionaire or like, you know, be crazy well off is difficult, but like for the most part you can stay middle class. And then in America, just because there is like that high offset of being able to be a millionaire, a billionaire, or, you know, the American dream, quote unquote, the like the floor is very low. You can be at the bottom of the bottom and then you can be at the top of the top.
So you coming out of sport, you come back to the US and you're like punched in the face with this kind of stuff and you're expected, like you can't really grieve this transition.
Heck no.
You have no time to think about it because like you've got this pressure coming at you and you're banging on doors trying to, you know, sell stuff and not scare people and, and trying to at the same time identify, like try to work through this incredible transition of this new like shift in identity. It sounds like that's a lot. And how does, like, did you have experience in your life to prepare you for that? Did anybody
I
help you kind of say, you know, get your ducks in a row because you're going to go back to your quote unquote kind of like real life and have to like start hustling?
think in a way football did prepare me for that, just being relentless and obviously the highs and lows with just playing sports. And I think one thing that I'm just like very fortunate for is like having a family to where like honestly if I went broke today, like I have parents that I can move in with. There's a lot of people, especially in like our community and African American community, where it's like a lot money goes backwards, right? So it's like a lot of friends of mine where it's like if they make $1, 50 cents goes backwards to mom and dad. I'm fortunate enough to where I don't, that's not my situation. And I think that's why a lot of guys stay in Europe, where it's just like it makes more sense for me to just stay here than to put myself in that situation and going back to America, and then everybody's screwed. But yeah, I think I've always had, I don't like to take advantage of it at all, but I always do know like I have the luxury or just like I'm fortunate enough to like if something were to happen, like I have family. I'm here living with my uncle now. I've offered to pay rent. He doesn't let me pay rent. So I'm fortunate enough to not have to be totally subject to all the pitfalls of being back in America. But I could definitely see how I don't know if I would have made this move. I don't think I would have made this move. And I told my mom this before, I wouldn't have made this move if I wasn't fortunate enough to have family to rely on.
Well, conversely, the picture you painted, and I know it's not a lot different in Canada. I mean, we have some, you know, some definite nuances, but the picture you painted is pretty compelling to stay in sport. Did you feel the pressure of like, I better keep playing and make sure I can keep playing because I don't know what life holds for me after that? Like, I know that that's a scenario for some people is that they're battering their bodies beyond the expiration date because they don't know what choices they have when they're done. Like that's another thing I've heard in the past is if I don't keep going, I don't know what life holds for me. Is that, you know, something that ever crossed both of your minds?
I do. It definitely has crossed my mind. I think just like speaking like holistically, I genuinely don't believe it crosses everybody's mind and they think about like I have to play in sports because like America's so like cool. I think more so it becomes like your identity and that's all you know in high school. Where it's like for the most part when we were in high school, nobody was saying you were a student athlete. They said that because your parents were there. You know, like you were an athlete first and then you just had to get good enough grades to where you can stay on the football team. That's kind of what they meant. And it was the same thing in college where I was trying to get my exercise science degree and my coaches were telling me like I had to sit down with the head coach and the AD to try to take exercise science and they were trying to force me to take psychology because
Sociology for me.
Because it was the easier class. It was just like just hop in this. You'll get a good degree or you'll get an easy degree. You'll be easy to keep a high GPA. But yeah, I think it just football becomes your identity and then the end goal for everybody, you kind of had these blinders on where it's just NFL, right? And not everybody has family or people around them to let them know like you have that like that. Even if that is end goal and you do get there you have to plan afterwards. But yeah, I think the sport and the culture of football does kind of put blinders on these athletes and you kind of lose yourself in the game to where you don't know what you don't know. And I think it speaks to why a lot of athletes just stay and they just kind of cycle right back into sort of football.
Yeah, I can say for myself that because I had like 2 years of a gap in there, I kind of got to experience the other side of life without football. And say that it was kind of easier for me to walk away this last time from football because I'd already known what it was like to live life without it. But it is hard when you look at a lot of your boys that are still over there playing and you're like, man, like, bro, we're getting up there in age. And you're not playing the way you used to play before. And yes, we do love the sport, but there also is a level of respect to the game. Like if I can't play at the highest level that I'm capable of playing at, and even though it's not that high of a level in Europe, we also had to create room for the next guys to come in, right? For the next wave of Americans, the next wave of European athletes to come in and be able to fill those spots and coach them to be better to what we were. But we can't continue to hold on to that spot and thinking that we're better than that person, because at the end of the day, like the game is the game. Like if you really do love the game and respect the game, you understand that there's an expiration date for you. Like when I went back and played this last season, if I look at my film compared to that season to when I first got to Europe, my goodness, I probably was dog shit out there. Yes, I knew a lot. I knew the game very, very well, but the way I moved was probably super slow. Yes, I could read the gaps and all that stuff, but like it was time for me to let it go. And I think everyone comes to that point or has to come to that point where it's like, okay, like I've given a lot to this sport and I've given a lot to this game. And it's given a lot back to me. Now, Europe, obviously, like you can continue to play until you're 40, but it's like coming back home and playing 37U football, bro. You look like dog shit out there, bro. Let it go. Like it's okay to figure out what the other side of life is. And I think because I had that 2 year gap, like I was able to experience like, okay, I worked in the gym, right? I got to see what it's like to be management and that side of things. I knew that the last year of going back for me was only about allowing my daughter to see me to play and being closer to her. How that played itself out the way it did, I was cool with how I let go of football. And I think everyone has that general understanding of when they're going to do it. Some people just hold on to it too long. So that's how I felt about football. I do still feel like I got kicked out of it in a way that I shouldn't have, but I also feel like the playing side of stuff, I walked away on my own terms. Now, Europe's just a different animal, man. Like it feels like it chews you up. It uses you for all you've got. And then there is no thank you or like, hey, like, let's figure out a way to try to keep you here and help out this sport continue to grow. It's more like, okay, the next person will come in and kind of try to pick up where you left off. Or just the cycle starts all over again. Do you feel like you really left a mark in Europe for everything that you did or everything you continue to do with Evol and how you train the youth and everything?
No, definitely. Absolutely. I think especially in Europe, and I feel like we all know, it's just like as athletes, just like knowing how to train like an athlete and for your sport and understanding
Not
that
a
your sport is
bodybuilder.
not in the gym, it's on the field. And yeah, you're not a bodybuilder and you don't have to work out 6 days a week in the gym. Teaching them on like having them understand like concepts and methodologies of training so they know. And I used to always tell them, it's like, I'm not going to be here forever. You guys need to know how to have a bullshit test for your next coach, right? And understand like if what you're doing is correct or not. And I pride myself in teaching, especially more so like athletes in Europe, that because they don't have the same structure that we have. For the most part in America, it's like you get your coach, you do what he says, right? But in Europe, for the most part, these athletes are either buying training programs online or they'll start with a personal trainer. Like there's nothing that operates like through the club, under the club. So I always try to like enforce and teach them like just very simple methodologies of training and understanding like what your in season should look like, what your off season should look like, how to understand like certain individual inefficiencies that you may have, how to do like certain assessments on themselves based off injuries that they may have. So yeah, I definitely think I did leave a blueprint, especially with my athletes. And I think what Evol is me trying to have like a bigger outreach to like the global market of American football.
So it sounds like you're giving free programs away. So it's a huge philanthropic piece for you. Is that something that like a longer term vision you have, is to continue to just provide that free programming? Or is that just something that's like a need that you have to meet because it is so, there's such a lack of support or in the system. Like you're just doing it because you can't stand to see anybody not have what they need. I mean, that's obviously part of it, but
Yeah. Right now, because we do have like fees that we have to pay on our own, we just give out like a bunch of free training because for the most part, like I'm starting to learn like there's certain athletes that they're going to college and they have no money. Right. So we do have like a paid for program, but I understand there's athletes out there that are just like, hey, and our training program is like $30 and it's for 3 days of training, 3 days of gym training and 3 days of speed and agility, or speed and or agility. So it ends up being like per training $1.50, maybe $2, right? So over the course of 4 weeks, so I'm like, and I understand I'm not gonna try like shove that down your throat. If you can't pay for it, you can't pay for it, right? But if you can't pay for it, there's this free training that you can take on, right? We have 3 different options that you can take on, and I have guys that have been doing some of the free training for 2 months, and they've still been seeing results. So there is like kind of like a philanthropy type of thing, and there's also just like a me trying to have like my hands on American football as much as I can within Europe at a global scale. I think moving forward, we just did one recently, about a month ago now, and we had a camp in Hungary with like a team in Page in Hungary. Went really well. Kind of, I think the model of camps usually is you come, they do testing, analyzing, and you go. They leave you with nothing. And with this team, we did a speed training session and try to leave them with things that they can do on their own afterwards. We did an agility session, try to leave them with things that they can do afterwards. And then the organization that brought me and my co-founder out paid for all their training. So they'll have free training for the next 4 months. And I would like to continue to do a model similar to that. And instead of having the athletes pay, the organizations or the federations.
that's awesome.
I like that. That's a good business plan. So what's the future hold for Jay? Where do we see ourselves going? Like, are we gonna pull the cleats back out? Are we going back to the enthroners? Are we fully done? Do we feel okay with saying that we're done with football and that we're on the other side of life, or is it still looming in the back? Like, hey, like it might happen.
There's like a lot of like subsets. Like financially, is a financial place that I want to be in, and that's why I joined like this solar job. It's 100% commission. Like it pays very well. And there's a certain amount of capital I'm trying to raise. There's obviously my business goals and career that I'm trying to achieve with Evol. I honestly, it's not something I'm trying to become like a billionaire off of. I literally just want it to be enough to cover like my living expenses, right? And I want to be able to travel around to all these places that have, whether it be Japan or Africa, that have American football and flag football, and try and provide as much as we can. The American football, like my playing career is done. Like answering that question, there's a quick answer for that. My playing career is done. Yeah, I think my biggest thing right now is trying to figure out where I'm going to be. Currently trying to find jobs in Europe. So if anybody's watching this that has connections for jobs in Europe, hit me up. Definitely trying to get out of America. Love it here, but definitely trying to move back to Europe.
You ain't got a lot of us, bro.
Yeah.
I get it, bro. So,
but yeah.
Before we get out of here, what would be your one piece of advice for all the athletes out there that are getting ready to transition into this other side of life like you had to do yourself? What would be something that you wish you knew before you hung the cleats up and you kind of made this transition?
I think at the level that I was at, whether that was American football in Europe, it's you need to, in your free time, which we have plenty of, you need to get out there. And it may sound as trite as it may sound, you need to get out there and figure out what you're going to do afterwards and start like experimenting. Where it's like, I took the time to experiment. I was just a player at the time. We had a strength coach that came in. I had done exercise science as a degree, but I was never thinking about being a strength and conditioning coach. I was thinking more so physical therapy. And he was holding 5 a.m. lifts, which I was not going to at the time. And I was like, hey, you mind if I come in and help? Because why not? Right. And I came in and I helped. I really enjoyed it. And I went, got my CSCS and became a strength coach. I think a lot of the times in Europe, a lot of these athletes go out there and they don't do much besides go on Netflix and go party. And it's just like, I get that, but it's like, you're going to go back home and then what are you going to do? Right. So I think especially going to Europe is just like, take that opportunity to figure out what it is that you want to do. Same thing at the college level. If you go from college to professional, I think honestly, more so now than when we were in school, I feel like kids now are taking more advantage of, or just like understanding that they're not just athletes, especially with like NILs, where it's like a lot of kids are like getting a lot of information in business, right? Because of NIL opportunities. And there's been a lot of like a lot of creative work that's being done by athletes nowadays. And I think a lot of athletes are not as invested in NFL as we were. I think honestly, the new generation kind of has a bigger understanding for what they want to do after, even if it is being a streamer, right? I think that's probably like the biggest thing. And as trite as it may sound, I feel like the things that are trite and kind of like cliche are the ones that, they've been around for a long time. It's for a reason, where it's just like literally get out there and figure out what it is that you want to do.
And if I could just add to that, given the kind of work I'm doing right now and how poor national team sport is, like we're talking pro sport, you guys played pro sport, but national team sport, there's really no reason to do it other than, things like learning discipline and accountability and teamwork and, personal excellence, actualizing potential. Like you really have to dig to those intrinsic motivators because the extrinsic motivators are few and far between to do it. So I feel like with all your experience, both of you combined, big question I had is, would you do it again? And the would you do it again is for the lessons you've learned. And somebody out there needs to help connect the dots about those whys, because sports getting a bad rap all over the place. And you guys have lived a lot of life and you've learned a lot of lessons. And I think there's got to be a way to leverage that and help people through this journey and create some sort of a pathway to some kind of professional development, whether it's professionalizing sport, maybe that's part of it because there's such great things that can come of sport, whether it's fostering, programming, support, whatever it is for people to build something from the lessons they've learned in sport to do something more meaningful out in the community. There's got to be some dot connectors. And so for you guys who've lived it, I'm just the person that helps build the programming and measures your hormones. I do more than that, but it kind of like, I help you get there, but it's the, what do you do with all of it? That's still a messy ball of fog. I guess, I don't know what I'm trying to say, except that there's got to be more to it than I did this, these things happened to me, I learned a lot, and now I'm sort of tossed out here into some sort of pit to try to figure out what to do next. Like that just seems like the most sad story to me. Like there has to be a why do we do this? And what am I going to use the lessons I learned from this to do for myself and to help the next generation to either better the system or use the qualities I've developed to better people I come in contact with. And what does that look like? Versus scrambling because you have to pay your electrical bill. Like this all sounds so unglamorous and it makes me sad. So I guess with that, I'm going to ask one last question from my end. Would you do it again? Would you go on this journey again, both of you?
Yeah.
I mean,
those are some great things to ponder on too that you said, Sarah.
Yeah. I mean, I can answer it and I'll tell you, hell yeah, I would do it all over again. Being deported twice, would do it again. Right. Playing on multiple teams, like across the country, like different countries, definitely do it again. Starting my own business overseas, do it again, right? Running a camp in the middle of COVID, would definitely do it again. Taking the opportunity to try out for bobsled, would do it again. Coming back home, being broke, right? Not knowing where life is going to lead to, 100% would do it again because it's led me to a position to where I am now to be running this podcast. To be able to talk to other athletes, to be able to talk to other coaches, to be able to talk to people across the world and be able to share their stories, right? To realize that other people have gone through exactly what I have gone through in maybe a different walk of life, but we all have found a way to overcome it. Boy, we all have found a way to network, get together, and also be able to be trailblazers. Because I think I've always put it in a way for myself in my life that, yes, I do it for myself and I do things that I love to do. But at the end of the day, I've got to leave it better than how I found it. But I also have to set a path for the person that's coming behind me. Right. So when I transferred to schools to go to Charlotte and I was part of the first football team, right, it wasn't necessarily to say that, hey, I wanted to transfer there because it was a good program, because it was nothing. It was nobody, right? 75 freshmen following me around. I wanted to be the first player to go to the NFL there because it opened doors for other people, right? Not only for myself that I wanted to play in the NFL, but I knew that it would help the next freshman or whatever that's coming in to be able to do it. I wanted to go overseas to play, even though I had no clue where half this stuff was on the map, because I knew that some other kid was going to look at my story and be like, hey, I want to go overseas and play. I saw Desmond Cooper do it, right? I started a company over there because I knew that, and it was all makeshift stuff. Like I just did it. I had no clue what I was doing. But I set the blueprint like Jay did for what he did with Evol for the next person to come to make it easier for them. And then also when it comes down to doing this podcast, it's like, hey, athletes, coaches, like we all got a story. Like you guys can all talk X's and O's. That's all great. Everybody's going to follow something. They're going to do something, but somebody's got to be able to tell how you're getting to where you're getting to at the end of the day, because nobody's fully telling that side of the story. So if I answer it easily, hell yeah, I'm doing everything again, and I don't even care what comes about.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I would do it. I would do everything, and then just a little bit differently. I'd definitely do it a little bit differently. I feel like I'd be an idiot to do it the same exact way. I do a lot of things I do differently, but yeah, I'd definitely do it again. I feel like the community that I built, the people that I've met, the things that I've learned, experiences, and also it's just like there's a lot of like meaning through struggle that you get through American football, and like I wouldn't trade that away for anything, because I feel like it's allowed me to get through, I mean, like even these tough times, like being back in America, doing something new. Like this is like honestly like a complete 360 in my life. For the last 8 years, like everything has been kind of like straight and narrow, like not much change, like, you know, not much different stuff going on. And I feel like the sport of American football and the highs and lows and the struggle that you face within it has prepared me for this. Like I've handled this very well, and it's due to the last 8 years that I spent in Europe. So no, absolutely not.
But you guys, though, listen to what you just said. So the story, like I'm sitting here listening because I'm trying to build a case for why sport in my area, and helping some more organizations do that, because they're hanging on by literally thread, and are trying to justify their existence. You know, the first part of this podcast, talking about the struggles and things you've dealt with, and then being hurdled out and having to try to claw, and maybe not a very, as you said, forgiving society that you're in. And it sounds like, woo, I would never do that. And before we started the podcast, I was hearing what Coop went through and what he learned on his journey around the bobsleigh stuff. And I was leading you down the road, like, keep going, keep trying, lift heavier, do this, do that. And I was starting to doubt before we started this podcast, oh my gosh, like, what's the point of my existence? And I've had an ass kicking as a woman trying to do stuff in performance sport for a very long time. And why would I bother doing this myself? And then when you guys just said to me, like, you would totally do all of it again, ever that thing is that drove you to keep going and want to go back there, that's got to be bottled. It's got to be labeled. It's got to have, like, because it's that we need to sell people on and give sport new life to. And there's something in that story that needs to be harnessed to encourage people to keep going, so that they don't feel like when they retire from sport that journey was meaningless. And I think that's what's upset. That's what the mental health issues are so rampant. They probably always were, but they're almost more so now, especially when the world's in crisis for so many other reasons, that it feels like sport's the least of the things that we want to talk about or care about right now. So that invalidates the journey even more. But what you guys have said, you went through kind of hell and back in a lot of different ways, but you do it all over again. There's got to be that compelling reason. And I encourage you both to, like, write that down somehow, because there's sport needs you in a huge way. Huge way.
Doing as much as we can. But that's it for the night, guys. Like, that was Jay. Welcome back. It was good to have you on, brother.
Please.
Sorry you're on the state side. I can't wait for you to go back to Europe.
Goodbye. Yeah, I was about to say, hopefully it's a short welcome back. That's what I was about to say. Goodbye.
Yeah. See you on the other side of the pond, my brother. But no, man, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you coming out again today. And it's always fun to chop it up, see where you're at with everything. Tara, it's always a pleasure. I appreciate you so much because you asked the tough questions that sometimes we don't even think about.
Yeah, she reels
And
it
I
back
really,
in.
yeah, I love that you reel us back in at times. And I love that you keep it 100% honest with us and keep us in line. So thank you both for tonight. And I can't wait to release this episode.
Thank you.
Thank
Loved it.
you.
Okay,
Thanks
great
for
to
having
see
me
you
on.
guys.